Welcome back to episode 217 of the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast. My name is Josh. I'm here with Troy. I'm here with the one, the only, the beautiful, the lovely Baba Louie. What's going on, boys?
Hey.
Well, it's been a big week for me.
It has.
Dropped the boy off at college on Monday. I guess he hasn't come home yet, so that's probably a good thing. Had a couple little issues to get through. Emotional week, though, I kind of admit. A little bit sad. It's weird. I haven't had to buy a gallon of milk in like 2 days.
Your food's like
all
of a sudden
it's there.
It's there. It's not gone.
Yeah, it's crazy.
When I was over the other day, I didn't have to empty the garbage can.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, Sam's off on his way in college, and that's kind of dominated our week so far. What about you, Troy? What's going on?
Our puppy, I don't know puppy anymore, but 18 months, I think he is, got neutered today. So he got home about 2 hours ago. He's angry. He's woozy. We got pills for pain and pills to kind of sedate him if he gets a little too crazy because he can't run around, can't jump around. He's got a onesie on, which is absolutely hilarious. And then we have a cone, but they said only use the cone if you need it. Like the onesie will protect it from him sniffing and doing things that dogs like to do. But it's like a baby because you take it out, take the dog outside and you got to unbutton the onesie, pull it up so he doesn't pee all over it. So.
I've had to do that for Louis before.
Happens.
So has Ozzy looked at you yet? Like you particularly with that, what did you let these people do to me?
Yeah, they we're friends with the people, or with one of the people that works is like a nurse or whatever at the vet clinic, a vet technician, and she was sending us pictures and he just looks so depressed, like I'm gonna kill you people when I get home.
Yeah, not fun. Baba Luby, what's up with you, buddy?
Nothing new to report. I've had a lot going on in the background, but just nothing exciting to report.
Nothing neuter to report?
Nothing neutered to report. No.
Yeah, well, time to get to the show, I guess. Big show today. Before we do, though, got to make a very quick mention about our Patreon, because we are a Patreon podcast, which means we rely on supportive listeners like yourself to help us cover our show expenses, produce more, and what we hope is better hockey card content and fund initiatives, even in a small way to grow the hockey hobby. It's very easy to support our show. Starts at $5 a month. You can do it via Patreon, as we mentioned. There's a link on our website, hockeycardsgongshow.com. At the top of the page, it says Become a Patron. You can just go to the Patreon website directly, patreon.com, and search for Hockey Cards Gongshow. If you're watching us on YouTube, there's a link in the description. There's also a link in the description in all the podcast apps. And then find me in our Instagram and TikTok profile. We have 2 new patrons since the last show, Troy. Yeah, very exciting. VV Cards and Jay Costa. Thank you both very, very much for your support of our show.
Thank you.
If anyone has problems getting into Discord, message us. We want you in there and mucking it up with the community. But yeah, thank you again for your support.
Hey, Troy, get ready to smash that button bar. It's time for the Gong Show.
You ready to begin, bud?
Yeah, let's begin today's show with the almost greatest NHL player to wear number 17. Then it's off to another edition of Hobby Deep Dive Sets Edition. Next, it's Hobby News. We then have an interview with Richard from the Vancity Card Show that will be going on from October 11th through October 13th. And you guessed it, Vancouver, Canada. We then look at new product releases, followed by our weekly preview of some of our favorite hockey cards in the current Fanatics Collect Weekly Auction. And we end the show with any personal pickups. All right, Josh. Previously, we looked at the greatest NHL player that wore the number that matched our episode number. We ran through all the numbers. So now we are looking at the almost greatest NHL player to wear each number from the runners-up in the Hockey Writers' greatest NHL player to wear each article. The almost greatest NHL player to wear number 17 for the nominees in the Hockey Writers' greatest NHL player to wear each number article, and selected by me is this guy, Rod Brind'Amour.
I know Rod.
Oh, yeah. We all know Rod. Fantastic player. Fantastic career. The other runners up at number 17 were Wendell Clark and Ilya Kovalchuk.
So I have a question about that.
Yes.
Was it a tough call for you between Brind'Amour and Wendell Clark, or easy call, or how would you describe that?
So Wendell Clark had he's a legend in Toronto, right? But when you look at the
Yeah.
points and all that stuff,
Mm.
it's Brind'Amour length of career, if I remember right. You're asking me to remember something I did last night. That's hard.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yes.
So you're saying Wendell Clark is good on the Toronto scale, but not good on the NHL scale? Is that what you're trying to tell us?
I wonder, actually, Brind'Amour, what he means to Carolina is probably right up there with what Clark means
Sure.
to Toronto. As a reminder, the greatest to wear number 17 was Yari Curry. All right, Josh, our boy, Rod Brind'Amour. Very happy he won the cup. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see the picture. He's a center born in some town called Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. So I'm sure Phil would be happy about this. But he grew up in Prince Rupert and Campbell River, British Columbia. I know it sounds weird when I said grew up in Prince Rupert. It took me all my might not to chuckle when I said that.
Yeah.
And Campbell River, British Columbia is where he grew up. Okay. Brind'Amour was selected 9th overall in the 1988 NHL amateur draft by the St. Louis Blues. Brind'Amour played in 1,484 regular season NHL games over a 20-season NHL career. Brind'Amour played his first 2 seasons in the NHL with the St. Louis Blues. He would then go on to play a little over 8 seasons with the Philadelphia Flyers. He would then play his final 10 seasons with the Carolina Hurricanes. For his awards and accomplishments, Josh, he is not a Hall of Famer. That kind of surprised me, but he was only eligible last year, but there's a lot of stuff online that he should be in there, but he's not a Hall of Famer yet for some reason. Now, he's got 1 Stanley Cup, 2006 with Carolina. He was on the 1990 All-Rookie team, 2-time Selke winner. This surprised me. 1-time NHL All-Star Game selection.
Huh.
His jersey number 17 is retired by Carolina. It was retired on February 18th of 2011. All right, for Brind'Amour's career NHL stats, 452 goals, 732 assists, 1,184 points. Brind'Amour made the playoffs in 12 of his 20 NHL seasons, compiling 51 goals, 60 assists for 111 points in 159 NHL playoff games played. Best regular season of Brind'Amour's NHL career from a point standpoint was this 93-94 season, where Brind'Amour had 35 goals, 62 assists for 97 points in 84 games played with the Flyers. Brind'Amour was known as one of the best shutdown centers of his era and was one of the best two-way players in the league for his 20 NHL seasons. He was also one of the best face-off men in the league, never winning less than 54.2% of his draws since face-offs became an official stat during the 97-98 season. His face-off winning percentage for his career was 59.32%. That's pretty amazing, which is 3rd all-time. He was also a threat shorthanded and tallied 56 shorthanded goals, which is 10th all-time in the NHL. So there's a little bit about Rod Brind'Amour. After retiring as a player, Brind'Amour was named an assistant coach and development coach for the Hurricanes on June 7th, 2011. On May 8th, 2018, Brind'Amour was announced as the head coach of the Carolina Hurricanes, a position he currently holds today. And if I remember right, he just signed an extension, I think.
Yeah. Can I do a fun fact about this?
Wes,
A fun fact / trivia question / Gongshow game show?
Do it.
Here's a fun fact.
All right.
Currently, Rod Brind'Amour is the 4th longest tenured NHL coach. Did I steal this from you? You don't have this already, do you?
Nope.
Okay,
Nope.
good. I didn't read ahead. Can you name the 3 that have been a head coach with their team longer than Rod Brind'Amour? And he started with the Carolina Panthers, like you said, 2018.
John Cooper.
It's one of the 3.
Okay. Boy, this is going to show. I just don't know all the coaches. John Cooper for sure with Tampa Bay. Give me a hint. And
one you're going to be mad at yourself. Another one you're going to be probably didn't know.
Wow.
So the 3rd longest tenured coach is Jared Bednar for the Avalanche.
I thought Colorado popped in my head, but I was like, I can't remember his name.
That's the one I knew you were going to
be.
be mad at yourself. And then the second longest tenured coach is Mike Sullivan of the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Oh, you know what? I thought Pittsburgh and Colorado did pop into my head, and I should know Sullivan. He does so much stuff with. I think he's American, if I remember right. I think he does a ton of stuff with USA Hockey.
Okay.
Like he's a big believer in small area games, so I know I've seen presentations of him and the Pittsburgh practices where they just do small area games all day.
Oh, wow.
All right. Baba Louie says we have a 5-year extension for Rod Brind'Amour. So there we go. I knew I saw something like that. Okay. For fun, interesting facts for our boy. Brind'Amour was known for working out constantly, which earned him the nickname Rod the Bod. How do you like Rod the Bod?
That's a good. There's some sort of challenge that they do at the start of the season too, like some physical fitness, like CrossFit Bro kind of thing with the team. Louis can look it up, but that I think is a derivative of his legendary workout routines.
Well, speaking of that legendary routine, at Michigan State, he was known for immediately putting in a full workout after each game. The coaches would turn off the lights on him to make him stop. When that didn't work, they had to padlock the weight room so he couldn't go into it and work out after a game. That's maybe an issue. Yeah. I get it. You want to work out, but holy cow, your body's got to rest. But hey, he played 20 years in the NHL, so he must be doing something right. Brind'Amour made his NHL debut in the 1989 division semifinals for the Blues as they took on our Minnesota North Stars. He scored his first NHL goal on his first NHL shot. That's I wonder how many there. I mean, we've had a lot of first games, but first goal, first shot, it's got to be pretty rare. It's probably, if you watch, it's probably not as rare as I think. But
yeah.
All right, Brind'Amour formed 1/3 of Carolina's BBC line, also featuring Bates, Battaglia, and Eric Cole during the Hurricanes Cup run. Hurricanes run to the final in 2002. They didn't win the Cup.
Okay.
Brind'Amour is currently not in the Hall of Fame and is currently listed by many pundits as a player who should be enshrined, and his exclusion so far is one of the biggest snubs currently of eligible players, a lot of them are saying. Now, I don't get into it, but if you want to read some reasons, the Hockey Writers site has an article called "It's Time for Rod Brind'Amour to be in the Hall of Fame" by Ryan Henkel, which goes into greater detail on why he believes Brind'Amour should be in. And it's part his play, his demeanor, how he worked out all the time, great teammate, captain, led Carolina to the first Cup, playoffs, all this stuff. And then he kind of goes into how the the Hall of Fame selection process is kind of dumb, and it's all secrecy, and it's the smallest voting committee of any professional Hall of Fame in, I think, North America. He goes into some stuff, but that's it. That's what he's got. He's not in the Hall of Fame yet. But
don't you think just you and I should vote?
I would put in most random, like Gilles Melasher and Damian Rhodes. Sure.
Yeah, you guys Damian Rhodes.
It's just Troy's Hall. Like, who did Troy like growing up in the 80s and 90s? That's what my Hall of Fame would be. Connor, who?
Fair enough.
All right. Oh no, there's Brind'Amour coaching. If anyone wanted to know what he looked like, if you're watching on YouTube, there he is.
He looks pretty intense a lot.
Yeah, he is intense. Rod the Bod, man.
Yeah, Rod the Bod.
Gotta work out. Yeah, definitely. Very intense. Okay. His rookie card, 1990, Upper Deck, number 36. PSA 10 pop of 140. Gem rate of 48%. We know where this is going. Most recent sale was via eBay, verified in Terapeak on August 24th of this year for $34.99 US.
Not going to be in the Hobby Hall of Fame anytime soon either. Holy cow.
I don't know. I don't think so. That's funny. The next card that sold when I was looking at was a in-person auto one. I just thought of Phil and his rant, and it was like, it went for like $100 and some bucks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Louis chimed in and found some info so far on their preseason workout program where they do like some like crazy Ironman sprints and bikes and don't rest, all that stuff that would probably kill us. So.
Well, it's like, what happened to those days where you just had to run a mile like under 6 minutes? That was.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, good job. Learned a lot about Rod Brind'Amour. How many lead do we have left? 6?
What are we on?
7?
17. So we did have 6 more. Yep.
Oh, crazy. All
And
right.
then who knows?
It's time for another hobby deep dive.
I like how sometimes we sound like a half professional show.
Well,
Don't worry.
We finally learned not to like talk over the sound bar. I can actually hear the sound bar too. That was an issue for a couple shows.
It's going very smooth so far, which it can only mean things will go off the rails very
Yes.
quickly, and it will return to their normal programming in probably a second or two. Well, we're back with yet another edition of Hobby Deep Dive. Again, this time looking at sets. If you're not familiar, first time listening to the show or watching, well, welcome. Glad to have you. Hobby Deep Dive is where we go deep into a specific hockey set chosen by you all in one of our very famous Instagram polls. There's our hobby poll right there. What we do is we put up 4 options to choose from, 4 pretty epic sets in the history of the hobby. We always include 1998 OPG Chrome Blast from the Past refractors because it's Phil's favorite and it loses every time. And of course, that makes our hearts happy.
Well, now everyone's saying it's rigged. Everyone thinks it's rigged now.
Yeah, there's a lot of comments. Before we go into this week's sets options, though, we got to do a quick recap of the sets we've done a deep dive so far on the show. List is getting longer in sets now, Troy. We've done 21 Allure 16 bits, 98 Atomic Refractors, 08 Jambalaya, 96 Upper Deck Game Jersey, 09 Crosby Tribute from the Cup, 96 Run for the Cup, 2004 Young Guns Legends, and then our last one was 2014 Seismic Gold. So we put up 4 new options on our Instagram for this week's Hobby Deep Dive poll. Here's the choices. Had to go with Phil's 1998 OPG Chrome Blast from the Past. At this point, though, it's kind of like it feels like there's really 3 options.
Yeah.
Nobody votes for it. Then it's 2015-16 Young Guns Acetate, followed by the very popular 2003-04 Bowman Chrome Gold Refractors out of 50. And then finally, one of my favorites, 2012 Fleer Retro Electrifying.
Yeah, that's you want to see the results?
Yeah, after many, many votes, the results are in. And coming in last was Electrifying, which is kind of sad.
Yeah, that made me sad. I like electrifying.
Followed by Phil's Blast from the Past in a very solid 3rd place.
Well, Phil probably
20
got bots trying to run and vote for it now.
With 20, well, he's not real good at it then. With 20%. 2nd place was 2003-04 Bowman Chrome Gold Refractors, 23% of the vote. And then with 40%, a commanding win, we'll call it, that makes this week's Hobby Deep Dive the 2015-16 Young Guns Acetate. Now, listen, we're not dumb. We're kind of dumb. We know people wanted the set for the UC Saros that we're showing here. You can't fool us, Troy. You know. Yeah, there we go. Now, we'll get to the big guy later. But I think, though, before we get into the 2015-16 Acetate Young Guns specifically, you have to start the conversation about Young Guns Acetates, kind of clearing up potential confusion that exists with the Young Guns clear cut. Because I remember a couple years ago, it was very confusing to me. Similar to you?
Oh, I probably still don't get it. Like, we get this question a lot. This is, would you say this is top 5 question we get just randomly in messages all the time? And I get it. I get why.
It's not very straightforward. A lot of it has to do with the name too, because a clear cut is really an acetate card, or as Upper Deck, with like the technical name was PETG that we hear a lot from them. And so it's referred to as an acetate card, but then there's a Young Guns Acetate card, which is actually a card name. And they look very similar because they're both PETG cards. But there are some differences, so we'll try to debunk or demystify those right now. And also, in saying this, we're not like Young Guns Acetate experts out there, and I know there are some. So I'm sure we're going to hear for a couple of the details that we forgot, and actually look forward to it because
please let us know.
Gives us the opportunity to learn too. So while both Young Guns Clear Cut and Young Guns Acetates they're both PETG or acetate cards. Young Guns Acetates is a thicker PETG. Now, it's hard to tell that in a picture online, but if you saw it in hand, and Young Guns Clear Cuts are a little more on the flimsy side, acetates are thicker. Acetates also have much more of a rainbow foiling on them, so the colors shine and sheen a little bit more in the right light. Sometimes, though, if the picture isn't great or it doesn't catch the light where it refracts, then it's harder to tell too.
Yeah.
Probably the most dead giveaway is a majority of the time it's a different player photo between the Young Guns Clear Cut and the Young Guns Acetate.
Mm,
I did to illustrate this is even though we're talking 2015-16 acetates, I used a recent example, which I'll explain in a minute why. But if you go to 2023 and our boy Bedsy,
yeah.
on the if you're watching on YouTube, on the left side of the screen is his Young Guns Acetate, and on the right side is his Young Guns Clear Cut. Now it's hard to in the pictures to tell which one is thicker, pretty impossible. And even the foiling doesn't show up in these two photos, but you can clearly tell that the image is different.
Yeah.
Clear Cut will have the same image from the base Young Guns. So that's the dead giveaway that the card on the right is the Young Guns Clear Cut for Connor Bedard, whereas the card on the left is his acetate. So I think that that's the number one thing I would look for. Does that make sense to you, Troy?
Makes sense to me. I definitely know in hand. If I hold them and I see them in person, you can definitely tell in seconds which one's which. But yeah, looking online and all that. And I think we got some examples coming up here, but I think you'll see that sheen a little more, that color sheen we were talking about.
Then there's a major difference in scarcity too, as acetates are much, much harder to hit when ripping hobby boxes. And while it is important to understand the differences, and hopefully this helps some people between the Clear Cut and Acetate to appreciate fully what the Young Guns Acetate cards are, it honestly, Troy, doesn't matter for 2015-16, as there were not yet Young Guns Clear Cuts at that time. So really the only Acetate Young Guns from 2015-16 would be a Young Guns Acetate. Young Guns Clear Cut would first appear in the 2016-17 sets where we have like the Austin Matthews rookie class. So I don't know. Do you think that clears it up for people? Hopefully.
A little bit. I hope like 99%. I'm sure there's something we missed, but someone will let us know.
Different photo on the acetate. That's probably the dead giveaway. So in 2015-16 and up to 2019-20, it's also important to know that Young Guns Acetates were found in Upper Deck Series 2 and SP Authentic releases. I didn't go year by year to get the breakdown, but when you go to like 2015-16, which is the set we're doing the deep dive on, the Series 2 had the acetates for the Series 1 Young Guns. So if the player you're collecting had his base Young Guns in Series 1, the acetate was in Series 2. If the player you're collecting had his base Young Guns in Series 2, then the Young Guns Acetate came out in SP Authentic later down the road. And this is all pre the advent of extended series, where the two Young Guns, as well as players whose base Young Guns didn't make it into Series 1 or Series 2, would be added, to that SP Authentic set, where now they're just in extended series. If you're going back, though, pre-extended, you also got to remember, too, that there are some base Young Guns in SP Authentic as well. So, like Igor Shesterkin in 2019, and that would be listed as a Young Guns update card.
Yeah. Oh, hold on. We got that one.
Yeah, I got that one. See, it says SP Authentic update.
Yeah.
Upper Deck update on it. So in the SP Authentic release, the Series 2 Young Gun, you had the Young Guns update base cards, and then the chase card from a Young Guns perspective was the acetates. So there's the lay of the land before we hone in on 15-16 Young Guns acetates. Okay, so just like we said, 2015-16 Series 1 Young Guns have their acetates in Series 2, and 2015-16 Series 2 Young Guns have their acetates in SP Authentic. The Series 2 acetates have some big names on the checklist. I'll go through them now. Connor McDavid. You ever heard of him, Troy?
I told him he cannot go in the Hall of Fame because he's not on Troy's players I grew up in the 80s, 90s list previously. So, but
how did you take the news?
I don't think he cared. He got married. He just got married. He's got other things going on in life.
Just imagining like him walking into his trunk with a case of beer and you slapping it out of his hand, and you can't go to the Hall of Fame.
I think the favorite video of him is there was one. I don't know. They were doing like he gave like a home tour, and it's just hilarious because Connor McDavid just kind of like walking around, staring at things. He was really impressed with his driveway that had heated like concrete, which is a fantastic melted. But
Yeah,
there's some good memes on the internet about that whole video.
I'm sure. In addition to Connie McDavid, we have Mikko Rantanen,
Good.
Connor Hellebuck, Artemi Panarin, and Dylan Larkin. Those are probably the 5 biggest names where you'll find their Young Guns Acetates in 2015-16 Series 2 hobby boxes. Then in SB Authentic, the biggest names would be Jack Eichel, UC Saros, probably Linus Allmark, and Shea Theodore. So there's probably 9 at least decent chases there. But of course, the biggest draw is Connor McDavid.
Mm-hmm.
And we've already mentioned these Young Guns Acetates are a tough pull, but we really don't know the specifics, as in 2015-16, they are an unannounced, or what we would call Easter egg.
Easter egg, all right.
On the checklist. They don't have odds, or they are not numbered. So
I wish they would go back. Like, there's got to be a statute of limitations. After 10 years, they go back and put the odds on the checklist. I think that'd be great.
So that'd be kind of cool.
But maybe that loses the mystique of the Easter egg.
And we know they're kind of not doing the Easter egg thing anymore. They're putting them on the checklist a little bit. But it did kind of hit this weird type of Easter egg, and Acetates was a good example where you knew they were coming.
Yeah.
They just were never on the checklist, where there are other Easter eggs that are totally surprises, that it's like a brand new card. You've never seen it before.
16-bit is the one I remember the most.
Yeah.
You're like, the first time.
Whoa, what the heck is this card? And didn't Phil say on a recent show that he did a lot of work, like in Brady Tkachuk's 2018?
Yeah.
He said that he knows of something like 21.
Yeah, I think he said he's found 22 or something, or 22 copies of it, and basically just figured, okay, I've done the legwork. It's probably 25, somewhere in there, maybe a little bit more, but
30, yeah, something like that. But the actual number is going to be very small. So why are these appealing? Well, number one, they look super cool.
Yeah.
And knowing that, again, going back to 2015 and the big guy, McDavid in particular, we know there's tens of thousands of his base Young Guns. So you can see the appeal of this awesome looking acetate version that's real thick and prominent and has that rainbow foiling and very scarce, kind of the mystique of sort of the Easter egg behind it, that these would be very desired. Have you ever pulled an acetate out of any hobby box?
No, I've hit it one clear cut.
Of all the cards that I could think of, like what would be a rush or just awesome to do, I would love to pull a Young Guns acetate.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, so now here's a look at the top 5 highest selling unique 2015-16 Young Guns Acetate cards, along with each's respective top sale. If we just did the top 5 highest sales, it would be all Connor Bedard. Connor McDavid. Sorry, Connor McDavid. Yeah, Young Guns Acetate. So, and that would be boring. Reminder too, all sales made by eBay that are within that 3-year look-back window have been verified as paid for in Terapeak. Coming in at number 5, Troy. Number 5. Mikko Rantanen BGS 9.5 sold for $351 in October 2022 via the Fanatics Weekly. So, yeah, nice looking card. Looks way better than his Young Guns. I hate his Young Guns picture.
Yeah. I don't hate it as much as you, but yes, this looks better. That slab is terrible. I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah, doesn't look great.
Next.
Number 4. Dylan Larkin BGS 9.5 sold for $613 by the Fanatics Weekly in July 2016. Here's where you can start to see a little bit of that foiling.
Let me go down here. You can start to see the shine, the shimmer.
Yeah, that you don't get in a clear cut.
Yeah.
Number 3, Artemi Panarin BGS 9.5.
Oh, there you can see it.
842. Yep, there's a good. It just blows my mind how little effort people put into pictures. Like, you want the purples and the blue. Oh my God. What is he doing? Does he have a mold card in?
I don't know. Maybe some players. I don't know. He's just got good hockey mouth, so I had to zoom in on it.
Oh yeah, he's got mold card lip. I was making a really sweet purple and blue comment, and you distracted me with your
You're on the right track though. Yes, take care of your photos because these look fantastic when you get the lighting just right.
Yeah, I want to buy this card because I like the colorfulness of it. Number 2, Jack Eichel PSA 10. So for $1,687 US by eBay in May of 2023. Also, don't take it on your grandma's couch.
That's this slab's been through some wars, man. It's like got a crack here. It's ready. It's ready for prime time.
And the number 1 sale, Troy, get ready. A Connor McDavid BGS 9.5 sold for $11,000 US by eBay just a couple of weeks ago.
Is this
August
the
11th?
Is this
$11,000. If you're selling a card for more than 10 grand, you can take 6 minutes to take a picture of it.
I'm convinced pictures don't matter anymore. That's my new thing. Like I was talking to you about it, like just randomly. I'm like, boy, now listen, I don't sell a lot of cards, but I try to take good pictures. But the more I get in the show and we see these record sales and see the picture, I'm like, maybe I'll just take it with my phone real quick and slap it up there.
Make pictures matter again, people. So is that a t-shirt idea?
Make it easier for podcasters to use your picture.
Going up the top 5 too, where 4 of the 5 are BGS, kind of gives you that glimpse back into 2015 and how the obvious move was BGS and how they sort of dominated.
Yeah,
because for the 2023 Young Guns, Acetates, I doubt 4 or 5 will be in BGS slabs.
I think it would be fascinating for someone to do a history of grading book. Now, I don't know if there is one, but it'd be interesting to see. Because, I mean, I've read stuff, too, where it says PSA has been dominant for a long time, too, and SGC. And it's just, I would love a definitive, like, history.
Do you think Phil should write that?
Well, I'm the guy that sits there, I don't like grading, blah, blah, blah. But I'm intrigued by the history of it.
You'd get arrested if you wrote that book. Well, that concludes our latest Hobby Deep Dive Sets edition on 2015-16 Young Guns Acetates. Any closing thoughts, Troy? How do we do?
No, these are fantastic cards. They just, there's not too much to explain about them. They just look awesome in hand.
Yeah.
I'm glad we went over the difference because it's still one of those things it's a confusing part of the hobby for a lot of people.
And if there are more technical differences, let us know so we can pass that information along. All right, going to move on to Slab Show, Gongshow, partner and sponsor. We are very grateful for their support of our show.
Slab Show? Sorry, Carm. We just renamed your company. You're now Slab Show.
Slab Show. Why is this happening to me? What is going on?
I know something with Slab Shark. Is it too illiterate? Like, just
well, then I do Fanatics bad too. Oh man, I'm not a good pitch man.
We know the name Slab Sharks.
Slab Sharks is a Gongshow partner sponsor. We're very grateful for their support. Well, at first I thought you were laughing that we were thankful. You're like, we're not thankful for you. I'm like, I'm pretty sure we are, Troy. We tend to like them a lot. Well, the current Slab Sharks weekly eBay auction ends tonight. Holy moly. Great cards in this week's auction to choose from and to play some of those bids on. Head to slabsharks.com, see all the cards available. It's like a movie, as the kids say, Troy. Or do they still say that? Yeah. Is that a thing? Okay. Have you heard your son's friends say it's a movie? I don't
think so. It's all about the chat and the fam and the stuff. I don't even want to say it because I don't know what it means and I don't want to offend anyone.
Yeah, Slab Sharks fam, Slab Sharks chat. We're cool, right? Well, if you're a Canadian hockey cards collector, first, thank you for listening or watching. Secondly, you should be considering Slab Sharks for your eBay consignment services. Why would you want to sell your cards on your own and go through all the hassle? I don't understand that. Plus, you have one of the most popular weekly auctions that feature mostly hockey cards, probably anywhere on the planet.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty good. They make it easy to sell your cards because they do all the work. They take care of everything, and they are the experts. They've sold, Troy, now, this is pretty impressive, over 106,000 items in just their couple-year history. So they must be doing something right, huh? For complete consignment info and to get the process of consigning your cards today, head to slabsharks.com. Hobby news.
Hobby news.
Well, did you guys see the recent sale of the Babe Ruth jersey?
I did. Holy cow.
I have one question for you, Troy. Was it you? Yes. Be honest.
No. It was not
I think it was you. You're just too embarrassed. Well, if it was you, Troy, your bank account took a very substantial hit. even for a Daddy Warbucks guy like yourself, $21.4 million. Dang, Gina, that's a big number. It was sold by a Heritage, so probably a big feather in their cap for sure.
Yep.
I wonder what the auction house commission is on something like that. It's got to be like way less than the 20% like us plebes.
Well, yeah, because
but
if you shop this around, right? If you're the owner, you go to everyone and be like, if you want this, you got to give me a better cut, like lower your fee. And I would believe, I have no idea. Maybe Heritage is the only game in town for something like this, but
yeah,
I'm sure Golden wanted their hands on it. I don't think Ken let this go by, but he did.
Won't be appearing on season 3 of the Golden Touch. We know that for sure. Even 5% would be over $1 million.
Yeah.
So. Now it's the famous called shot jersey where, well, he called the shot and he hit a home run to center field in the 1932 World Series. Now, why are we talking about a baseball jersey on a Hockey Cards podcast? It's because, Troy, this $24 million jersey that you're probably using as a bathrobe now is the most expensive sports collectible item ever sold. Wouldn't that be crazy if you had so much money where you could just buy something like this and say, that's my bathrobe?
You know what? You know who would wear it as a bathrobe? Remember that he's in jail now, but the guy, was it Martin Shekel or Schrekel?
Oh,
that bought the
Skrelly,
Wu-Tang.
Yeah, they bought the Wu-Tang.
The Wu-Tang album. They made one copy, and I think he paid $2 million or something for it. But I think he had to forfeit it because he got, I don't know, something. I know he's in jail or he was in jail, but that's
he was
the guy
charging like old people like $60,000 for their medicine.
Yeah, that's the guy that would wear it as a bathrobe.
100%. And you. Okay, it's almost double the price over the second highest item that's ever sold, which was $12.6 million paid for a 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle SGC 9.5 that sold in 2022. The third highest selling item is this Michael Jordan, where if you're watching on screen, a game worn jersey from the 1998 NBA Finals sold for $10.1 million. Fourth highest item all time is the 1986 Diego Maradona Hand of God jersey, whatever that means. What does Hand of God jersey mean?
Oh, you know what the Hand of God is? I do.
Should I?
I do. I must be a soccer hooligan now. 1986. I did not have to look this up. I know this. Like this is crazy. 1986. I think it was World Cup. I'm going to say quarterfinals. England, Argentina. The first goal Diego Maradona scores, he like jumps up for it, and his fist was up. Like I think his head and fist were going at the ball, and he literally hits it with his fist, and it goes in. Calls a goal. Stands, they score. I think England tied it, and then it was 2-1. They won. Argentina, and they're asking him in an interview afterwards. And I think I'll get the quote wrong, but it was something like Maradona did the skill or something, and the God did the hand, something like that. It's something. Then it was called the God of hand goal. After that, I know I totally butchered his quote, but that's kind of where it's from.
How are you allowed to punch a ball in soccer?
Well, the refs, I guess they didn't see it, or they bad. I don't know if there was a bad angle. They couldn't see. You know, I know the refs. We got one ref on the field running around, and they got side judges too, right? The little guys with the flags that call offside. So I guess no one saw it.
Well, it must be cool because it's over 9.3 million, fourth highest selling sports collectible item of all time. And then the number 5 is something called the Olympics Manifesto, which dates back to 1892. Sold for $8.8 million. At some point, I'm going to look that up because I got really curious what that was about. The Culture Manifesto has that kind of serial killer vibe over the last. I doubt that it's something.
Well, if it's a laying out of I'm guessing it's like the new modern Olympic Games, what they're supposed to be like. I think I'd want that out of any of these. That would be cool, I think.
I didn't spoil your personal pickup with this whole jersey story.
Yeah, here's my favorite jersey. Hold on, let me get it real quick.
Yeah. Let me wipe the ketchup I spilled on my hot dog earlier. Okay, well, man, it just keeps setting the bar higher and higher, right? So now we have a sports collectible that's sold for $24 million. High tide raises all ships. So in about 17 years, it'll trickle down to the hockey market. Next story, Gabriel Landeskog. Have you seen the stories about him? He's fairly optimistic.
Is it Gabriel? I always say Gabriel.
Gabriel. I don't know. I'm sure.
Now it's bad when we're ripping on each other.
There's something in between that. Well, whoever, Landeskog, Gabe Landeskog, is fairly optimistic about returning to the NHL this season. I know Troy, that you hold a tiny amount of resentment towards Gabe, given he has helped punk our wild a number of times.
Yeah,
I think you'd even have to admit that he's been through one over these last few years, huh?
Yeah.
Not only is he optimistic being able to return, but it sounds like the goal is for him to be back near the start of the season. He's not played in the past 2 seasons because of pretty bad and sounds like degenerative knee condition.
Is he got like just bone on bone, and it's like
I don't know. I didn't look.
they have to do some. They're gonna create the hip shaving for the knee or the knee shaving.
Stop. That's why I don't look that up, because I get squeamish about the whole stuff, and I didn't want to be like, well, I'm trying to. So at a recent ECHL event, Colorado coach Jared Bednar, who Troy forgot about, recently commented on Landeskog's comeback attempt. Here's what Bednar had to say. He's trying to make a return here sometime in the near future or near the start of the season. And if it goes well, there'd be a really big boost for us. So that's something we're all a little anxious about, but really excited about as well. He hasn't played for us in 2 years. And then Landeskog chimed in. I think the Denver Post reached out to him. And what he had to say is it's been a long road and still is. He was playing a Pro-Am golf tournament, so he's got to be getting better, I would say. He went on to say, still a lot to be done, but I'm excited. I feel like a hockey player again. It's just a matter of taking all the necessary steps. I'd like to be able to play in game number 1 and home opener, but we will see. We've still got lots of time. So at this point, Troy, go ahead.
I was just saying, he's still fairly young. I mean, he's 31.
Yeah, 31. Yeah. Still the Avs captain too. And I think at this point, he's been away so long. If he were to come back, and if he were to be reasonably the same level of player he was, that would kind of be like the Avalanche getting like a big free agent signing.
True.
At this point.
Done without him. Weren't you calling for his captainship to be taken away last year?
I'm pretty sure that was Louis. I would never be disrespectful like that. I'm almost positive, and I know the timeline doesn't work because Louis wasn't on the show, but I'm still very positive it was Louis. I actually do hope it works out for him. It seems like a very long, tough road that he's had to travel to even make this a possibility. And Gabriel, whatever, Landeskog is a 2011 Young Guns PSA 10 pop, 343, 64% gem rate. Last sold for $72 on August 25th. It's actually up about 6% in the past 6 months. Not a lot of volume, of course, on this card. About 17 sales total in the last 6 months. Any parting shots on Landeskog?
No, I hope he comes back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always rooting for people, especially degenerative knee conditions. That doesn't sound good. That's like, well, Bo Jackson had degenerative hip condition and ended his career. So anything with the word degenerative in it is not good.
I'm pretty sure we're degenerative. So I agree. Last story, Fanatics Collect, one of our sponsors, is now offering on-site, or soon to be, offering on-site grading through CGC. And it's hard to keep up with Fanatics, Troy. It's like every 2 minutes they're like launching some major initiative. I think it's great and really pushing the hobby forward. And in yet another of many hobby innovations, starting on September 16th, Fanatics Collect will be offering on-site grading through their Oregon facility in a partnership with CGC.
Whoa. Oregon.
Oh, yeah. Is it Willamette or Willamette Valley?
Willamette. You can't say Oregon because it didn't go anywhere. But my dad once had a shirt that said Orygun. Oregon. But the thing is, if you say Oregon, it's like,
is that like in Minnesota? Because a lot of Minnesotans say Oregon, right?
Oh, yeah. Everyone, like a lot of people say Oregon, and then I just silently vent. But since we're on the show, we can just rip on each other.
Now you know how every Canadian feels like watching our show.
No,
sorry. I'll start over to make you happy. And another of many already hobby innovations, starting on September 16th, Fanatics Collect will be offering on-site grading through their Oregon facility in partnership with CGC. The goal, of course, is to offer very fast turnaround time. So per the information that we got from Fanatics, they're targeting 24-hour turnarounds, depending a little bit on volume, right? That could adjust that a little bit. Also, $9 per card to get graded.
Smart move.
Yeah. And although CGC does not grade many sports cards, they're more known for TCG. I really feel like, they've been kind of a big innovator too over the past year or two. Like they were one of the first to partner with eBay on their authentication services. And Yeah, like I said, they're more of a TCG company, and I think if you're a Pokemon person,
Yeah.
holy moly, is this $9, 24-hour turnaround on grading?
And yeah, and remember, TCG outsells everything.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a smart play to go with a CGC route, even though sports cards, you're kind
Does
of
this
like,
make it at all more tempting to get a sport card graded through them? Because I actually
It's
don't
just-
mind their slabs and stuff like that.
yeah, I would say it's like it's really good if you just want to you like the slab, you want to protect the card, go for it. But again, we've said this 100 times. If you're going max resale value, it's going to be PSA. Which is how it is.
If CGC through Fanatics Collect charges $9 in a 24-hour
Yeah.
turnaround, how many hundred thousands of dollars would it cost PSA to get your card graded in 24 hours?
Well, I was curious. Do you know, is there a turnaround? Is there a value limit on this? Like, if I get my 52 Mantle,
I don't think
can I
so.
send it to this for $9?
Yeah, I think you could. But here's how I look at this too. It's not just the fact that it's CGC. They're the first to do it, so it means it's possible. So this, like, to me, is a door opening move where now could SGC be next, or PSA, or somehow Beckett,
Yep.
right? I don't know. What do you think about this whole deal?
Hey, it's a smart move. To me, it's a TCG play, but it's trying to open the door to get more sports cards in. But $9, have at it. I don't grade a lot, but still pretty interesting. It's pretty good value there, especially with a day turnaround. Holy cow!
Yeah, I think it's a good move too by both Fanatics and CGC, and of course, again, we'll say Fanatics Collect does sponsor our show, so just want you guys to know that. Okay, Troy. The other day, we had the privilege to chat with Richard Sang, better known as Cardboard Richard, who is one of the people that's dreamed up, created, and now will be hosting the upcoming Vancity Card Show. This is not your normal local card show, although, of course, those are great. It's more of like a regional or national or maybe international type level. It's a big show. And I think it's, from what it sounds like, is following that new style of show that we are seeing as collectors that are really into more card show meets event meets activations, the buzzword that people use. And for that reason, that's why we really wanted to talk with Richard to get a sense of what it's like to take that leap, to dream up something, and to go as big as they are for their very first show. There's so many details and big yeses that you have to get along the way. You have to figure out and secure. And I just love hearing those entrepreneurial stories. So again, before we get started, if you are interested in the Vancity Card Show, it's vancityshow.com, right, Troy?
Vancityshow.com. I'm putting it up on the screen. We'll get into a little more after the interview, but just listening to Richard and how kind of a card show can kind of come together was pretty fascinating. And then, full disclosure, one of their huge sponsors of this show is Slab Sharks. Look at the screen. It's right there. They also sponsor our show, which is just full disclosure.
At some point, I wonder if I have to do like a disclosure within a disclosure, because it's
like Trial Sports Card Expo. It's like, oh, these people are sponsored.
We know everybody. Sorry. Okay. With that being said, here's our conversation with Richard, Cardboard Richard, on what his experience has been like helping to create the Vancity Card Show. Well, we are very excited and pleased to welcome to our show Cardboard Richard to talk about the upcoming first ever Vancity Card Show. Hey, Richard, how's it going, bud?
Hey, good. Thanks for having me, guys.
Okay, I am very fascinated and excited for this conversation because, well, number one, we've been following sort of as your journey as you guys have been building the Vancity Card Show. And when I think of like starting a card show, my mind probably goes back to more like, well, I'm going to start with a few tables in a church basement and hopefully grow it from there. That is not the approach you guys have taken. You guys have gone very big with this, and it looks like you're making a splash. And so I'm very fascinated to hear the story behind how this all came to be and what it's been like going through the process of doing something like this at this scale for the very first time. So maybe we'll start with, when did this idea form to create the Vancity Card Show?
It's been forming through a lot of other card shows that we've been visiting. So we travel to quite a lot of card shows throughout North America ourselves. I've seen you, Josh, and Troy at some previous events as well. So it naturally happened because people kept asking, what's out there in Vancouver? What kind of big shows are out there in Western Canada? We have a couple local shows here, but nothing like the ones that we go visit, right? So it naturally came about because we wanted to really show off and showcase some of the big collections that we have in Vancouver, some of the great vendors we have in Vancouver. So it naturally happened that way. With that said, Josh, you were saying that we started off with a big bang, but if you actually backtrack a little bit, we weren't going to go at this kind of scale. Even with the venue, we were going to go much smaller. But if you want, I'll dive into that a little bit because
go ahead. I want to. So when did all this happen? Like, has this been 2 years in the making, a year in the making, 5 years in the making? I just wanted some sort of idea of the timeline here.
Okay, so about a year and a half in the making, we started the conversations. A year in the Toronto Expo, that's when we really started to execute. So I would say we that's when we created the company, and then we started to market it. So that was in November, but I'd say about 6 months before that, we were in the planning phases.
And then so you must have said, like you said, right, that Vancouver has a couple local card shows. Notice that you guys are traveling all across the country and the world into the U.S. That the whole notion of our grandfather's card show is not really where the industry's going. That they're more events, and there's more excitement around them. And so you must have noticed that there was a hole or an unmet need in Vancouver for something a little bit bigger than that, quote unquote, like church basement experience, right?
Yeah. So first off, I would like to give some credit to the local shows because they are quite large, right? However, when I do travel, or I like, in order to see some of my friends in the hobby, I'm having to travel to see these friends. I wanted to get to a space where some of these friends are traveling to us, to Vancouver. And when you look at the local shows, unfortunately, I'd say maybe about 10% of the individuals, the vendors, come from outside of Vancouver. So I wanted to get to a state where we're like 40, 50% of the vendors and the attendees are coming from outside. And while still featuring a lot of our great local vendors.
Yeah, I get that too. And I appreciate what you're saying. And I don't use the word local in a derogatory sense, but it's more definitionally where local, the idea of being local is you serve what's around you, right? So it's going to be your local shops serving your local citizens. And I almost wonder if there's a class of card shows that's sort of organically evolving to, is there like a regional or national sort of, or international classification now that shows are, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah.
Okay. And so you got the idea that there was a need, an opportunity, you form a company around that. What's like the first big decision? Is it finding a venue? Is it, I just try to put myself in your shoes and the journey that you've been through, and just curious as to kind of where you started.
Yeah. So it actually, a big part of it was, deciding who's part of this, right? Actually, Eddie reached out to me. It was Eddie and Arvin who reached out to me and said, "Hey, we should start doing this." The beauty is, Eddie, he's known as Fast Eddie's. He's got a shop, Let's Collect Cards. Arvin's got a company called YVR Collectibles, and that's how we started. And we wanted to make sure that all the different partners had different experiences, had different backgrounds, had different communities. Because if we all had the same communities, we'd only be getting the same people out to the show, right? So we're very, very different from each other. We're very, very, our communities are very, very diversified. And then we brought on Karn from Toronto because, again, all of us were local. We wanted to bring someone from Ontario, right? So, and obviously with his wealth of connections and experience, we felt that was a nice mix. So all of us have our own specialties. And it started with really making the decision on, are these the right individuals that would make this show successful? Communities are one thing, but also our specialties are very, very different. We all come from different, whether it's corporate backgrounds or business backgrounds. It's very, very different. So.
And then how do you go about figuring out where to host this?
Yeah, so we've noticed a lot of shows host and especially if we're trying to bring in people from outside, they tend to host them around the airport, close to the airport. Okay. So we did originally start there. And when we were looking at some of the spots in Vancouver near the airport, like the hotels and stuff, they weren't significantly large. They were a much smaller scale. So we decided to explore a little bit further. And a big thing for Vancouver, why people ask us about the scene in Vancouver is because they love traveling to Vancouver. We were chatting about that earlier.
Oh, yeah, it's amazing.
The scenery is beautiful, right? And you really don't get that by the airport. You really have to get towards downtown core to really enjoy and really really get a feel of what Vancouver looks and feels like. So one of the gaps that I also found when I was traveling to different shows is if I'm going to Chicago, if I'm going to Toronto, it's not really Chicago or Toronto. You're really on the outskirts.
Yeah.
Right. So I didn't.
Yeah.
Really have a
just like
chance.
you said in Mississauga, it's. I don't think I'm saying anything sacrilegious, but it's like I'd compare it to Troy to Bloomington here. It's not like the prettiest part of the Toronto area. It's the industrial. It's the airport.
Very industrial. It's the airport.
Right.
Yep.
And so it serves a very practical and logistical advantage to having it there, but you don't get a sense of the beauty of Toronto from that location either. So it sounds like you wanted people not only to experience the Vancity Card Show, but come in and see the beauty that Vancouver itself has to offer.
It's as much of a networking event as it is a card show, right? So that's one of the main reasons I go to card shows is you get a chance to, again, network and meet your friends that you don't always see every month, right? And another thing we were trying to solve was the families. They like to tag along. They like to come along, right? So instead of the guys just bring along their Zion cases, we want them to bring their wives, their family out. And that's an excuse, right? That's an excuse for them to come down. So the beauty also with downtown Vancouver is from the airport, it's one SkyTrain away. We're talking 20 to 25 minutes and you're right in downtown. That's actually where the convention center is. So yeah, so speaking of venues and stuff, if we wanted to keep growing this space, we're in Vancouver Convention Center East. We can keep growing it on the west side. So there's Vancouver Convention Center West. So we can keep growing it to a point where it could possibly get to as large as the Toronto Expo, really, right? So if we choose to. So that was something we took away from seeing how Burbank did it. They had to move around a little bit. So this was an opportunity for us to really be in one spot, but keep growing and expanding one spot.
So was it always in your mind, Vancouver Convention Center? Or did you look at a bunch of different places along the way?
We did. Yeah. So we did. But transportation was key to us. People, if we're getting them to fly in, our SkyTrain needs to be along a lot of these convention centers. We've got some fantastic venues further out on the outskirts, maybe in Burnaby even, which is only 20 minutes away from also downtown. But you would need to rent a car. Or you would need, it'd be a little bit more difficult for someone traveling, right? So, that's although the convention center is a little bit more expensive for a venue, we just decided to bite the bullet and do it this way.
Go big or go home, right?
Yeah.
What are a couple of things, like if I wanted to, well, there kind of is a Minnesota card show now here, but if I wanted to create a bigger card show experience, what are a couple of things that are huge deals that I would never think of before I started the process that you've learned along the way that it's like, oh, I never knew we would have to kind of tackle this challenge?
I can't say a whole lot surprised us because we've had these conversations well in advance. But as simple as blocking off some hotel rooms way early on, right?
Yeah.
In downtown, it's quite expensive, right? Like if we were to have it somewhere else, we could have easily gotten a deal very, very easily. But we really needed to call around and really spend a lot of meetings to make sure we got some rooms blocked off and at a good deal. So the deal that we have is at Pinnacle Hotel is just around $200 Canadian for a hotel in downtown, when a hotel in downtown can cost about $400. That seems to be one of the biggest complaints in Vancouver or in downtown is, why are we having a show in downtown when the hotels are so expensive or when transportation is so expensive? But it's not. If you're taking the SkyTrain, if you're leveraging our hotel deal, it's steps away from the convention center. So that was a worry that we had right initially, and we were booking these hotels like in a year in advance. So yeah.
So I think if you start any business, like even with our little dopey show here, that you can have a plan, or in our case, not a plan, but that's a whole story for another day. And you can get great people, like it sounds like you got together, and have the funding you need and go around and look at all shows. But there is kind of a point where you're like, oh, despite our best plan, this is either going to work or it's not going to work. People are going to respond to it, or they're not going to respond. Do you remember like a specific moment, like almost like a relief, like oh, thank God, that this is really coming together, and I think that this is going to work?
Yeah, so we had a lot of soft yeses initially, whether it's with the corporate guys, whether it's with the vendors, even a lot of the local vendors that we're really close with. They're like, oh, I'll take my time and book. So the relief was when we were 90% sold and everyone was coming to us. And when we had to even look at opening up the second floor to get vendors in. So the relief was really that it was kind of scary because we weren't, we had a lot of verbal yeses, but everyone just seemed to book kind of all at once. So that was the big relief, and now we're running, and in fact, there's a lot of other people trying to get in, whether it's vendors or corporate companies. Yeah,
you're sold out, right? I think I saw that on your Instagram.
We're sold out on the main floor. We do have some spots on the second floor.
Okay.
Honestly, ideally, we did not want to separate it, but given the demand, that is something that we wanted to still satisfy a lot of people who are especially traveling from outside to at least give them a spot. So, yeah.
I should mention too, and we will mention a couple more times, that of course we're talking about the Vancity Card Show, which will be held in Vancouver, Canada, at the Vancouver Convention Center on October 11th through 13th, 2024. The date, I'm assuming that that when you're trying to like figure out the date, there's things that are in your control and there's things that are out of your control. There's different strategic times where you would love to have it, but then you're not the only person booking the convention center too. So that date, is that the ideal date that you wanted out of the gate, or did you guys have to really work for it or fight for it, or was there other, I would assume that was a very big part of the decision.
Yeah. We did have to fight for it because they were giving us other spots within the convention center just that weren't ideal. So we had to, I guess that was another challenge. It was also proving to the convention center such a big spot where we can put on a good show because their branding is on the line as well. So October 11th and 13th, that's the beginning of the hockey season. So
I just looked it up.
The fact,
you got a Canucks game at home on the 11th. I just so people can go to that if they want.
Yeah, exactly. So tons of hype, especially in the hockey side, but not just even the hockey side. There, I know this is a hockey show, but there's a lot of other sports playing in October, right? So the hype is there in October. There's a lot of movement in October. We also like the fact that there are shows right after us, shows right before us. So people are looking to buy stuff from, like, say, Burbank. I know they're just coming back from Burbank and they're getting prepared for our show. And then people are buying stuff for this show, our show, and bringing it to, say, Toronto. So I know other people, like Grant Patterson is at the Montreal show before, so he's also buying a lot of stuff. So we wanted to time it in a spot where there is a lot of movement, there is a lot of action during that time. So that's why we picked October 11th, 13th. I should also add on that we were also in discussions with Tim Hortons very, very early on, and they convinced us you should look at those dates because they're releasing their trading cards those dates. So they want to also promote their trading cards, their Tim Hortons trading cards that particular week. So
that is a novelty that Troy and I, as Americans, and only now like 2 years into going to the expo, primarily in Toronto, where the novelty has not gotten old yet. Like, I am such a giddy little boy when I walk into Tim Hortons and walk out with spending like $65 on a cup of coffee.
That's funny because you're not the only one. So even the guys at Tag, I was chatting with them the other day, and they're like, we love the Tim Hortons stuff. So
So I got like a big picture question for you, and something that I've been thinking about and I'm curious on is that, well, what we've learned, I think, in the past year, especially, is that these like kind of like big, very well thought out, very well executed, and they're almost like, I consider these like events, like whether you're talking about like Fanatics Fest or the Expo or what you're hoping to do with Vancity. It's like you said, it's more than just like the maybe traditional thought of what a card show is, and they're popping up everywhere now, right? And existing shows are expanding. And it's almost like any week now or every week you can be hopping on an airplane to Chantilly, then to the Expo, then to Dallas, then to Burbank, then to Montreal Expo, then to Vancity Card Show. You know, where do you see all this heading? Do you think that this is kind of, we're going to see more and more of this, where you're going to have almost weekly these major events across North America? Or is there kind of or is there like a real estate people are from attention standpoint? Because you can't, I almost wonder, like, too, if the Paninis and Fanatics and Upper Decks of the world, if they're going to have to adjust almost their marketing approach to have basically traveling teams that to have a presence at all these kind of big events. I don't know. Does that make sense to you? What do you think about that?
Yeah, hard to say. Like, I'll say this. Like, I love the fact that all the shows are growing and we're improving, right? So
good
we're
sign for the
hobby. It's a good sign. It's a great sign. And every time I was just at a Seattle Front Row show, and that's also their first one, and it was fantastic. It was packed. So I think the communities are the local communities are still underserved in some areas, and we can definitely grow them. I guess the hard part is really just ensuring you've got these vendors, these top vendors from all across North America, consistently coming to your show, and that's where we put a lot of effort in building those communities and connections, really, when we're traveling at those shows to ensure that they're open to coming to our show consistently. So,
did you guys go to Fanatics Fest to scope that out?
Karn did. I was not able to, unfortunately, but Karn did. Yeah.
Was there any like feedback or anything like as a team you guys learned from that experience that you were or what they did? Because kind of on their path of innovation that you thought were good ideas or directions that you think these shows are headed?
Yeah, so we take bits and pieces, and that's the beauty of in a sense starting the show so late right in the game. Is it, you pick pieces that you love. One of the big pieces that we love at some of these shows like Fanatics that you're talking about is the activations. It's that fan experience, right? It brings in a crowd that's not just strictly hobby enthusiasts, but hopefully they transition into a hobby enthusiast, right? We made this decision well before, but we got BC Lions, which is a local team. They're a CFL team, so that's like our version of our NFL, right? So if you can even call it that, it's not comparable, but they're a big local team.
Yeah.
We still fill stadiums, 40,000, 50,000 stadiums out here. So they're sponsoring our show. They're bringing their cheerleaders. They're looking to bring the Grey Cup. So Grey Cup is
the Lombardi Trophy in the CFL.
It's like Lombardi for the NFL.
There you go. So the Grey Cup is being hosted in Vancouver this year. So also timing wise, it's fantastic. It's an opportunity for them to promote the Grey Cup and promote that particular event. So that's why they're bringing a lot of their staff. They're having their truck come out. Again, some alumni that's going to be announced as well. So that's a fan experience that would bring people who might not necessarily collect, say, football cards to come check it out with their kids, right? So,
and if you were to, not that you have to convince me, like I said, but if you were to try to convince somebody, like what would you say is going to be the essence of the Vancity Card Show? Like what's the pitch to get people there?
So probably the most amount of focus that we put towards the show is making sure there's liquidity. So that was huge for us, because if people come to a show and they're not able to move their cards to, say, vendors or other individuals there's not going to be a lot of cash flow, right? So first off, making sure the vendors that are coming in with deep pockets and buying. But we're also actively searching out individuals who go to these and travel to these card shows to come to ours to buy as well. We've got like even Slab Sharks, who's going to be giving cash advances to individuals that are consigning. We're going to be announcing Alt as well. They're also doing something similar as well. So liquidity would be huge. And you don't always see that at all the Canadian shows. So a big focus for us is on liquidity. Some of our higher end cards are expected to be at the show as well. So that would make it a little bit more interesting. We also have, for our first show, we've got 8 influencers coming out to our show. So that's cool. That's pretty big. That's pretty cool. And it's not just on the sports side, but also the TCG side. We've got some big influencers. So you'll see some great content from the show. But I would say liquidity, and so you want to bring your cards to the show and try to move them.
Now now's probably a good time to mention too, because you mentioned Slab Sharks, which Karnrai is involved with as well, and I think they're the title sponsor of the Vancity Card Show. They're doing something really cool, I think, in conjunction with eBay, where they're doing is it like an ultimate sort of fan experience, where I think as a way to promote the show, they're going to offer a round trip airfare for one into Vancouver, put somebody up in a hotel, black card transportation, some eBay event that they can participate in, and it seems like a kind of a really cool contest, or to get people to or encourage somebody to maybe think about or get somebody to experience your show. So I thought that was kind of neat. I think you just email support@slapsharks.com to express your interest and go and like some of their content. So you can check that out at slapsharks.com. But it's kind of neat to, I guess, one of the things that you guys are doing to promote and be creative, right? To get interest in the show.
Yeah, we're trying to think outside the box. So it goes back to that experience. So we want to fly someone from, I'm going to say, like Quebec, for example, to the show. We're going to film that experience. We're going to have Coach Co be part of that as well. So there's going to be the Slab Sharks crew. There's going to be Coach Co, who's going to be with the contestant winner. And they're going to fly down. They're going to get a limo service to downtown. We got Lux Limo as a sponsor as well. And then they're going to stay at the Pinnacle Hotel. But they'll also get $1,000 to spend. So they get $1,000 to spend at the show. So again, back to the liquidity side. And their goal is to really turn that $1,000 into a profit. So if they do that, and again, through Slab Sharks to do that, they'll get an additional $500. So Slab Sharks is waiving all their fees, so they get 100% of what it ends in auction. And but that creates liquidity on the show floor as well, and it makes for a fun experience. So for those who can't attend, at least they'll be able to see that experience of a contestant at our show, right? So it's almost like it's as if they can live that experience even though they're not there. So
how would you describe the collecting market or hobby market of Vancouver?
It's interesting. So we've got a big mix because we're a very cultural diverse city. We're also one of the most expensive cities in the world. So we've got a big dispersion in wealth there. But we've also got many different ethnic cultures. So depending on the ethnic culture, people are collecting different things, right? So we do have a big hockey community.
Sure.
Especially with Canucks doing well this last year. But with that said, I'll say even with me being Chinese, the individuals who are Chinese, they often collect maybe TCG stuff or basketball stuff. But they have a lot of high-end stuff, and they don't typically bring that stuff to the local shows because it's predominantly hockey. So don't get me wrong, we're going to have some really good quality hockey stuff, but we're also going to see a lot of other stuff that you might not always see that's kind of hidden at home. So that's what it looks like. It's Vancouver's a little disconnected because there's a lot of people in the hobby, but we haven't really found a spot to bring them all together. So that's our hope, to bring everyone out to the show.
And I know that you've talked a lot about too the advantage of your city that plays in this too, and that you have a lot to offer beyond the show. So let's say I am able to make it, which I'm going to try to do. Is what would like a couple recommendations for if I've never been to Vancouver before, in addition to attending the show, that would be like the must see places or must activities to do?
There's so many, especially the food. So again, diverse types of food in Vancouver, and you'll find all of that in downtown. If you take a sea bus just across, you'll hit the North Shore, and there's a lot of beautiful trails. Capilano Bridge is there, so there's lots of stuff to do on the North Shore as well. So again, while you're in downtown, you can hop over across the water, and you'll hit North Vancouver and West Vancouver. But I'd say even downtown alone, there's so many spots. I would even just look it up, and there's a lot of food choices. That's for sure.
Do you have any favorite restaurants?
Right next to the convention center is Miku. It's a fancier Japanese restaurant, but it's fantastic.
Sushi there?
It's sushi. It's a buri sushi. Do you do that, Josh, or no?
Oh, I do. Troy doesn't. Troy
doesn't. Okay.
No. I got to share this. I'm just going to show this because
there you go.
So this is Vancouver, right? So this
Yeah.
white building down here for our YouTube viewers. This doesn't really play to the audio, but this is where the show is, right? The white.
Exactly. So
Yep.
you see where the cruise ship's board?
Yep.
We're right there. So
Yep.
why I
that's
say
the other one
downtown
right
is because there's so many cruise ships boarding. So all the tourist activities are really in downtown.
Well, look how
And-
gorgeous this is. I mean, just
Yeah.
pop out and man,
Yeah.
I grew up in Portland or some early years in Portland, and it's kind of the same thing. But yeah, this looks fantastic. There's the dome. I think that a lot of people
Exactly. This is another great spot. So that's
Science World,
that's the
like-
Science World, right? Yeah, yeah. And then the stadium's right there. So if you're
Yep.
going to go see actually the one on the right would be the. Oh, you're making me very dizzy.
There we go.
So there's two stadiums. One's for our soccer and football, and then hockey. So if
Awesome.
you're gonna go see a game, you're gonna be right there. You can walk along Falls Creek in Olympic Village. So
Yeah,
Geez,
this
Troy, you
looks
almost had our
fantastic.
first guest throw up on the air.
I was like doing it to myself. I'm like, I'm moving around pretty fast. What am I doing? So I'll stop there. Hold on. Let's stop that.
Is your soccer team, is that an MLS team?
it's an MLS team. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah, we've
White
got
Caps.
an MLS team. Are they the Loons, or is that just their?
Well, it's Minnesota
local
United,
name?
and they're called the Loons, and they sing Wonderwall after every game. It's fun.
They've been very popular here, though.
Yeah,
They're in
huge.
St. Paul,
Yeah.
Minnesota, and more and more people are going to them. So
Awesome.
we have this first show. It's October 11th through 13th at Vancouver Convention Center. And is the hope or the idea that maybe this could be more than an annual event down the road?
Yeah, probably the second one will still be an annual event,
Mhm.
given that you've got to book well in advance for the convention center.
Yeah.
But after that, yeah, we are exploring options of 2 shows a year, right? So that's just, yeah, we just got to book that well in advance. So, but definitely we'll have another one the following year at around the same time.
Now, Troy, I've been waiting for you to jump in because you're the big wrestling guy.
I was just gonna say it. I have the picture up here. So,
Okay,
like-
all right. Well, I won't step on your touchdown call.
No, I'm
so
not,
you can
it's
go ahead.
just- we got to let people know that even though we're a hockey show, I do love wrestling. And Bret the Hitman Hart is going to be signing autographs at the show. It's on your website, vancityshow.com. Is that right? Make sure I got that right.
Yeah.
Vancityshow.com. It has like how much tickets are and everything. But yeah, Bret the Hitman Hart. That's pretty cool. Canadian legend.
100%, right? So he's from Calgary. I think he's got that Hitman team as well, right? Is that a Canadian team, hockey team?
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah. They are.
Yeah, so there's some resemblance with hockey there.
Yeah.
But
It's Calgary, right? The Calgary Hitman.
Calgary Hitman. Yeah, that's
What
right.
level is that, Troy? I don't even know.
It's CHL. So I don't. It's Canadian
okay.
Hockey League. Are they in the West? The West?
They'd be in the WHL.
Yeah, you talk Canadian High League, we get so screwed up because there's like WHL, it's all encompassed on they have one of the best symbols, that Calgary Hitman.
Yeah,
I can't believe there's a
100%.
team
It
called
looks
Calgary called the Hitman. I love that. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm glad no one's made him change it because it's perfect.
But yeah, no, if we had to pick a wrestler, that's all of us used to watch wrestling growing up, and he's one of our favorites, right?
Yeah.
So
Don't ask him about the Montreal screw job. Just don't bring that up. He'll probably won't be happy with you.
We kind of like Ooze is cool. I mean, that's what I always think about
Yeah.
Bret Hart, right? So is that that must have been kind of exciting when you got the confirmation there.
Yeah, we were stoked about that. So we were talking to the agent for a little while, and when we got him, we were ecstatic. So and it's funny because we had other people reach out, other wrestlers reach out when they heard that announcement. Bollywood boys, they're local out in Vancouver here or in Surrey. And they really looked up to Hitman growing up. So if you look at their outfits and stuff, it's a Hitman style, right? So they're coming out as well. So
yeah, the first big one is the hardest, right? It's like to get the one person to jump in and give that confirmation, and then all of a sudden the herd mentality takes over, and it's like, oh, Brett's doing it, so maybe I should do it too.
Yeah, you can say that with everything, right? With the vendors, with the corporates, right? With signing guests, even with our other sponsors, right? Like if it wasn't for Tim Hortons saying yes to us, we wouldn't have gone BC Lions because they work closely with Tim Hortons, right? So it's just that perseverance and getting that first one, and then you roll from there. So
when it seems like that the whole Western part of North America has been that maybe that little bit of that underserved community, where you look at like the biggest card shows have been more on the eastern part of the continent, with the Expo in Toronto, and the National is either central, as far west as Chicago, which is really middle America, or even in like Atlantic City. And now you see in the States here we have Burbank, that's really trying to establish a name for themselves, and then you guys in Western Canada. And so it seems to make sense, right? Because it's a long way to go to Atlantic City if you're coming from Vancouver, or if you're coming from LA or something like that. Just like I'm sure, I'm not like, we're not super smart here, Richard, in case you haven't noticed that lately, but I'm assuming even for you to go to Toronto's got to be a decent flight, right?
Yeah, it's a good 5-hour flight, right? So, as much as I love seeing the boys out there, and it's a long flight, right? So, glad to see some bigger shows out in the West Side here.
Well, cool. Well, wish you all the luck. We say this all the time, and we really love the opportunity to talk to folks like yourself, because we appreciate entrepreneurship. We appreciate people that are working to grow the hobby and create new, exciting experiences, to take risks, right? And to go big. And so, it sounds like you guys have the right people, the right group, that you've worked hard for a very long time. And looking forward to hearing about it, hopefully experiencing, but at the very least, hearing about a very successful event this October.
Awesome. Thank you again, guys, for having me. Follow our Instagram, Vancity Card Show. A lot of our announcements pop up there first. And again, if you can't make it for whatever reason, you'll be able to follow a lot of the experiences just on our Instagram.
And if there's people that are interested in exhibiting, or vendors, I'm assuming they can contact you through the website. For those that are just local people, I'm sure can buy tickets there too. Or if you're interested in traveling to Vancouver, is all the information about tickets and hotel and everything on your website too?
Yeah, it's all on our website, email, or Instagram. So you can always message us on Instagram or email. I'm often getting back to you guys quite quickly here. So just shoot us a message. Tickets are $15 right now. They'd be $20 at the door. This is Canadian dollars. 3-day passes are $35. So go ahead and grab yours. And if you want a Bret Hart autograph or ticket, try to get those soon, because it might sell out. So I don't want to disappoint anyone. So try to get those ahead of time instead of at the door.
Well, congratulations on, like I said again, on everything you're doing, and can't wait to maybe talk down the road and get a little debrief on kind of what that first experience is like. And I know, talking with Mikey Singer at the Expo, I don't think you'll sleep much for 4 days. So you better get your rest in before the show starts.
Yeah, I'm used to it. I've got a newborn, so I haven't been sleeping anyway. So I'm prepared. Yeah.
There you go. All right, Richard. Talk to you soon, bud.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
We are back. Thank you very, very much to Richard Sang, Cardboard Richard, for taking the time to join the show. I'm going to bring Louis back on now, because he was hanging out during the interview the other day. Want to get his opinion on all this, what we learned too. So first of all, have either of you been to Vancouver?
I have not.
I have not either. I've been to Oregon, but not Vancouver.
Been to where?
Been to Oregon.
Oregon or Oregon?
Oregon.
Oh, Oregon. Okay, good. Yeah, it's on be very close to the top places in North America that I have not been that I want to go to. So for me, that's enough of a reason in of itself just to go. I always, and I think I said this during the interview, when we're talking to people, whether it's like Mark at my card post or Karn at Slab Sharks about building Slab Sharks, I always kind of during these conversations put myself in their shoes and be like, well, what would that experience have been like? And you guys know we're trying to do like a couple minor things in the future, and we're completely overwhelmed by that. Can you imagine trying to create a huge international card show in a big convention center? I don't think I could do it.
I would be panicked the whole time. I don't think that I'd ever sleep. I'd be thinking about everything that can go wrong. And then, but also just to hear him talk about other things like, thinking about the hotels and how long you got to book those out. And even with the venues and maybe them trying to move you to a different hall or a different spot. And it's just, that stuff is the stuff I don't, think about. And it's kind of nice to get that big overview on what it takes to bring a show like this and this size together. One thing we forgot to ask is like how many square feet it is. I don't know. I didn't.
Yeah.
I totally
Those are questions that like professionals would probably ask. You were talking about the hotel thing. That's like 100% where he won me over on this whole deal, was saying that hotels in Vancouver are typically very, very expensive. And we wanted to make sure that if they're like $400, that we could get like a $200 rate. I think that that's really looking out for the people that you want to attend and making it as easy as possible to have a good experience. And so I thought that part was really cool. And then just looking at the picture, although I don't know if you were like stroking out when you were on the map there, because that was going like a million. Louis, Richard had mentioned that he was getting sick. I kind of was too. Were you?
Yeah, with his Google Maps.
If you watch the interview on YouTube, there's this point where I'm zooming in on Google Maps with 3D view, and I'm just all over the place, like left, right, and trying to show things. And everyone's like, "Oh, hold on."
It's like who gave Troy speed pills and let him play with Google Maps? It was that was something, Troy. I don't know. Anything else that stood out to you guys, or?
I like hearing the impetus for this. How there's a lot of local card shows, which are always good, right? Local card shows you need them. They're kind of the heartbeat, but let's take the next step. And there's big collections. There's big collectors out in Vancouver, out in the West Coast and Pacific Northwest. And let's have a big show and get into that. I'll call it the big boy game is what we call it, like up with Toronto Sports Card Expo. I know it's not the size of the National, but Burbank and all these bigger shows, or Chantilly, all these big shows we're seeing pop up.
I like that he brought it down into Vancouver too. He talked about, having something close to the airport, and there's hotels there, but there was nothing big enough to host the show, and then decided, well, why don't we get this downtown into Vancouver so people can get that look, the feel of Vancouver itself. If you don't want to be at the show all day, there's plenty of other things to do. I don't know why you'd leave the show, but I know there's what did he say? There's a SkyTrain from the airport.
SkyTrain, yep.
Down
one SkyTrain. That was
one now. Okay.
Oh no, I think that you can get on one. I don't think you have to take a bunch of different ones, but
sure. But then he futurified. I don't know if that's the right word himself though. Because this place, what he was saying, they ended up selling more spots on a second level because they ran out of space so fast. But even at that, they have a couple more spots within that building to expand in the future too, which is sweet. So you don't have to move from place to place to place.
People like to know what to expect.
Right.
So I wonder if at this point, if we like took a map, if we knew how to read a map, but if we took a map, someone taught us how to read it, and you looked at like between the US and Canada, I wonder if there's any like major area that doesn't have a big show now. Cause I was just kind of like mentally going through that. It's like you have the Northeast Expo, or you just had at Javits, you had Fanatics Fest, you have Chantilly, which is a little bit down the East Coast. There's some big shows in like Miami, there's Culture Collision in Atlanta, there's the Dallas Card Show, you've had the National in Cleveland, Chicago, we have a Minnesota Card Show. And so it seems like if anything, it's pushing out west a little bit.
Yep.
And it's like the whole geography is almost getting covered with these kind of amazing, cool shows. And this one in Western Canada would be probably on that list too. So, all right, guys, we're going to move on to new product releases. MVP was out today. Is anyone, Louis, do you rush out and buy a box of MVP?
Oh, I got the wrong picture.
Mm.
Never mind.
No, that's all right. Yeah, we're going to talk about SPX in a minute, but just kind of threw a little curveball in your Troy. Curveball, you're a baseball guy.
Well, I saw the Upper Deck Instagram post where they posted some pictures of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the biggest note is new rookies, but I don't know how many people are interested in that. And one of the things though that we typically do is try to look back a few weeks after releases and get some sort of indication how they're selling on the secondary markets, what the chases are. And so that's now, Troy, you can put it up 2023, 24 SPX.
I'm gonna put the MVP box up just for fun. So there's that for your YouTube people. Just so you can see it. And now, whoa, look out.
Oh, what
the
happened?
corner of a wait, what would this box grade? Let's look at the corners. So 2023-24 SPX was released on August 7th. That's about 3 weeks ago now. Per card letter sales history, guys, 3,850 total cards have been sold in the secondary markets to date. I think it's also fun to look at what cards are creating the most buzz, getting the highest prices on the secondary markets. And as it's a 2023-24 product, the Bedard Rookie Year product, we're basically now going to look at the top 5 highest selling Bedard cards from 2023 SPX because that's how it rolls this year. And as you know, not to repeat cards, we're looking at the top 5 highest selling unique cards along with each's respective top sale. All sales made via eBay have been verified as paid for in Terapeak. Are we ready?
Ready.
Let's look at number 5.
Connor Bedard.
Yes. Good guess.
Confucius says Connor Bedard. A Bedard rookie jersey auto out of 25. Sold for $1,968 US via eBay on August 18th. I'm not throwing shade. If you like the card, congratulations. But you know, Bedard Mania is crazy when you have like a jersey swatch, and these are like cut autos.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like you signed a note card. That's what it reminds me of, like an index card or something.
Like, hello, my name is Connor Bedard, sort of thing. They cut that part out.
I'm more okay with that than the fact that that's just a napkin patch.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I don't mind those autos. I prefer this kind of auto to a sticker auto, actually, even if it is a sticker where it looks like it's more designed in the card, not just a sticker placed on top of the card.
Yep.
Number 4, Connor, the Bedard rookie auto patch out of 25 sold for $2,697 US via Slapsharks on August 16th. So this is out of 25, almost $3,000 or $2,700 US.
Sticker though?
Yeah.
These are they're all stickers.
Okay. Oh,
with the exception of some of the UD Black. Which now, for the top 3, we're going to play the redemption game. Number 3 is a Bedard UD Black lustrous auto patch out of 75 redemption, sold on eBay for $3,861 on August 11th. Number 2 is the Bedard UD Black lustrous rookie signatures, gold 25 redemptions. This is just an auto card, sold for $3,889 US on eBay, via eBay on August 15th. And then number 1, this kind of blows my mind. The Bedard UD Black Pride of a Nation auto patch out of 99.
Wow,
redemption.
Pride of a Nation? Really?
Pride of the Nation sold for $5,000 on August 9th. So remember, these are manufactured like flag patches.
Yeah, it's like they'll have a Canada flag on it.
Right.
$5,000 out of 99. Manufactured patch. Wow. It is still pretty early on, so we'll have, of course, more big sales come through. But again, it's nice to get that early look. And so, Troy, I got a really tough question for you in particular, because I know which was your favorite picture of a redemption?
I mean, this one's really nice, clean. This one, the
look
redemption's
at the
like destroyed.
top edge.
Look at this thing. It's almost showing the numbers or the code. It's all ripped up.
Yeah.
This one I like because they put their symbol. So unique rips. Congratulations. Kind of like this one. I'm going to go with this one because I like how the card is his head.
Okay. The hobby thanks you. Last thing, reminder that on Monday's show, we'll be breaking down the checklist and card designs for 2023-24 ice. All right, it's time to do our Fanatics weekly hockey preview. Fanatics Collect is a Gongshow partner sponsor. We're thankful for their support of the show. If our mics weren't so expensive, I'd do a mic drop because I actually did it right this time. You proud of me, Louis?
Yep, you nailed it.
Thanks, man. All right, we talked about the new innovation of Fanatics Collect soon offering CGC grading at their onsite in their Oregon facility in Hobby News. I have a feeling this type of announcement, again, is going to be happening with Fanatics at the helm and the investments they're making all the time, right? So we just got to kind of buckle up and get along for the ride. And I think just to echo that sentiment a little bit more, that I see it as really in a great way. They're being very aggressive, is what John Malkovich would say in Rounders, where I think they're pushing everyone to up their game a little bit.
Is that Teddy KGB?
Teddy KGB,
Yeah.
I did a terrible impersonation, but I can't imagine that whether you're from Dallas or the Expo or any of the other card shows that they didn't go to Fanatics or Fanatics Fest and come away with some ideas to make their show better.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Fanatics Fest did the same thing to all those shows too. Right. So competition is good, right? We talk about that all the time. Got to make another reminder too for the Buy Now Marketplace. Every time I check, it gets bigger and bigger. So make sure to go to Fanatics Collect and check that out if you're hunting for cards on your hit list. But as we know, boys, current Fanatics Collect Weekly Auction is live. Ends this upcoming Sunday night. We've studied the auction. We've argued. We've cried. But Troy, Baba, Louie, and I have each picked out a favorite vintage and modern card to highlight, learn more about, and all these are available to bid on right now. So we're going to start with our favorite vintage cards first. I had to go with this 1983 OPC Hockey Ray Bork, number 45 PSA 10 Gem Mint. And I'm going to tell you right off the bat, 100% why I picked this card. I looked at this picture of Ray Bork, and I know by heart his rookie card, which is 3 years earlier, and we're going to put that up on the screen now. I think
it looks a little different.
I think the 1983 we have to call the puberty card, right? Because he obviously hit puberty in between 1980. He looks like Ray Bork's like crazy Uncle Rico.
Yeah, old uncle or something.
Yes. How is that the same person? Is that not
Okay.
wild?
That's crazy.
But I've always thought that's weird, and not to be. I'm a big fan of Ray Bork, but his skin complexions always bothered me in the rookie card on the left there.
Oh, like just the lighting. It's probably the
It's
lighting.
like, yeah, it's like it's like a porcelain doll almost kind of vibe to it. But yeah, so I was like sucked into this card. Had to learn more about it.
You would not even think that was the same person.
No way. Yeah, I love the 83 OPG design too.
Oh yeah, fantastic.
Huge fan of the retro logo in the lower right corner. Absolutely love that. Okay, back to the 83 OPG Ray Bork. The grade in this card is a PSA 10. Pop count is 10. And that's out of only 165 total copies graded, so it gives it about a gem rate of 6%. I think if you're a Bork PC person or Bruins collector, this would for sure be a cool card to own. Pretty scarce, of course, with only 10 out there. Great for any collector who's trying to put together the Ray Bork run, the Playing Days run. Yeah. Okay, so now just to like throw a little Bork nugget in here, because I don't know what else to say about the card other than it's cool. He looks very manly. He's got an awesome mustache. I found that in a Hockey Writers article from this past July. Troy, have you ever heard of a Hockey Writers publication?
I have. I've mentioned them. What, 100? No, 200?
Pretty
no,
much.
190 or 186 times or something.
Are you on the payroll yet there? Well, anywho, they did an article on the angle was like, who are the greatest NHL defensemen ever? But they kind of structured it in a neat way. They did it into pairings. So like the top 6, top pairing, the middle pairing, and then the third pairing. I have 2 questions for you, both of you. A, was Raymond Bork in one of the top 3 pairings from Hockey Writers, greatest defenseman in NHL history article? And B, if you think he was, which of the top 3 pairings was he in? Baba Louie, I'll let you go first this time. Was he in the top 3, and which of the top 3, if he was?
I'm going to say no. he wasn't in any of the top 3. But I'm
I'll
gonna
say
assume I'm gonna
oh,
assume it's yes because of the follow-up, but I'll say no.
I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to guess third pairing.
Yeah, he was in the third pairing, I think.
Yeah. He's one of those guys, too, where it's like, because he's the number 1 points. Does he points, goals, and assists for defensemen all time?
I think so, yeah.
And
I know he is points and goals.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are just, they chalk a lot of it to the longevity of his career, but obviously you got to be good to play that long. So, and he's probably an assist machine, right? I can't even remember what the exact stats are, but.
Well, he was the
Yes.
Calder winner in 1980, even though he looked like a porcelain doll in his hockey card. 5 times Norris Trophy winner. That's nothing to sneeze at, Troy.
No.
Won the King Clancy and Lester Patrick trophies. Won a Stanley Cup in 2001. Avs legend.
That's legend.
First in NHL history in points with 1,579 for defensemen.
Yep.
And goals 410. And I don't think anyone's super close to 410 either. Like now, Cale Makar, I'm sure needs a year or two to surpass that. But yeah, so I don't know. You think that's more longevity, or you want to make Ray Bork collectors mad at you now?
Or do people remember? We've heard he's not a nice guy, right? This is one of our not nice guys.
Oh, I don't know. Did we?
I don't know. I thought in our Discords.
Yeah,
they were
somewhere in
talking about it.
Discord.
So that can always hurt.
Sure. Well, all-time high sale of a 1983 OPG Platinum Ray Bork PSA 10, $256 back in 2016. In this same auction, Fanatics Collect, most recent sale was $203 August of last year. You got a current bid?
It is a whopping $25.
I just still can't believe that that's Ray Borg based on the difference between that and his rookie card. Troy,
All right,
you've got the next one, buddy.
I do. Right here, 1989 OPG Patrick Waugh PSA 10. Hey, it's a base card. It looks awesome. It's from 1989 OPG. I kind of dig it. So that's why I had to do it. And so 1989 OPG, I didn't even know that much about, so I just looked it up real quick. 330 cards in the set. It's got the Joe Sakic, right? Our favorite Joe Sakic card where he's like a model or something. I don't know what he's doing. And then Brian Leach is also in it for his rookie card. And there's also Theo Fleury, Trevor Linden, and Gary Roberts, who all have their first cards in the set. And I don't know. What do you think of the design? I kind of dig it. It's busy, but I kind of like it. It's got the blue borders, the ice, I don't know, on the left and right, and then this angled kind of nameplate thing. I kind of dig it.
What's going on with Waugh's goalie pads and the fact?
Oh, we're going to talk about those pads.
Okay. Yeah, they're just not matchy, and that's kind of
and yeah, I don't know what's going on with them, but we'll talk about them. So, and again, remember we've talked about this before. Usually, OPG sets carry a premium over tops. This is one of the rare exceptions where the 1989 tops actually is more valuable because of production. Right? I think there's a lot more. Their tops are very rare, a little less plentiful. We'll say a little less plentiful. So they usually command, like the Sakic rookie usually commands a higher price for the tops. So that's always one thing to note about the 1989 OPG set. Cards PSA 10 obviously looks great. Corners, edges, centering all look great. Centering might be like a little slightly off, but must have fell within the PSA 10 realm. So the image on the card, I love it because Waugh's in his stance. You would never see a goalie today holding his glove like this or his stick off the ice. Like, this is what's crazy about it. Like, goalies today holding the glove in front of him and underneath. Now, I don't know if maybe the play was just kind of entering the zone, but it's just a great look. And then the pads, they both look like they weigh 50 pounds apiece. They're huge, but Waugh's a big guy. He was like 6'4", but they're cohos. I mean, they're awesome. It's a fantastic looking goalie card. So
nothing matches. Even his blocker and his glove don't match.
That's what's awesome. Like, I love when goalies don't match. They have all their, they look like the bad news Bears of hockey, right? When they got nothing matches, or the Mighty Ducks, right? In the movie, when they first came out for practice, they had to go in the.
So if your goalie has that stance and the puck's in the zone, are you losing your mind?
We're gonna have a talk. We're gonna have a talk. We'll just make sure you're a little bit ready. The stances now that goalies don't play so hunched over anymore. But
are you more of a yeller coach, or I'm so disappointed in you look coach?
More the more the I'm disappointed look. I mean, I'll get on them, but I don't yell. Like,
That whole you learn that being a parent too. Like,
yeah, it's like that
like a million times more effective than
Mhm.
yelling at someone is. You
and
let me
it's a
down,
different
sort of.
game, right? Between this is what they in USA Hockey we have these like seminars and stuff where we go over the differences between the men's game and the women's game, and it's like men you can yell and that's kind of motivates them, and that doesn't work on the other side where that has a detrimental effect. We've learned, but you can't go so far the other way where it's like, oh, it's okay. That doesn't do anything either. That makes it worse too. So there's kind of this happy medium.
Here's one thing about this card that drives me nuts, and I was just looking at some of the other teams to see how it worked.
The logo,
That logo, because they have to get that copyright in there.
Yep.
Being off center drives me crazy.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good catch. I saw it, and I was wondering why couldn't they put it below it, or maybe they can't because of how the restricted trademark or I don't know what is it restricted thing has to go. But yeah,
And
I agree with you. It does look kind of odd. One thing to note, if you are interested in this card, on the back, there are a couple fisheyes here at the top. So just be aware of that if that's something you don't like. All right, PSA 10 pop of this card is 202, gem rate 40%. Recent sale of this card via eBay, verified in Terapeak on August 26th of this year for $35 US. Typically, this card sells in the $40 to $80 US range. So whoever got that got a deal. And current bid, $24 US.
Love it. Ooh, look at this banger.
You're up next.
I am. I selected for my vintage pick 1969 Topps Tim Horton. It is a PSA 4, which I think it's a very good looking PSA 4. Before I jump into the card, though, I started reading through some of his stuff, and I tried to pick out some highlights of his life, things I didn't know about, and figured I'd just...
Sorry, I just...
What?
You know what's crazy about this? I was talking to your wife the other day, and she told me you're a very good looking for.
Well, thank you. Both of you.
You know, I'm a 2. So, you know, don't consider that a dig.
I'll take a 4. I'll take a 4. I like being a 4.
I'd take a 4 too.
All right, so a little refresher on Mr. Tim Horton. He grew up playing hockey in Cochrane and later in a mining community near Timmins. I do not know where any of those places are. The Toronto Maple Leafs organization signed him in 1948, and he moved to Toronto to play junior hockey and attended St. Michael's College School. He was with the Leafs between February 11th, 1961 and February 4th, 1968. He appeared in 486 consecutive regular season games, which remains the Leafs club record for consecutive games and was the NHL record for consecutive games by a defenseman until it was broke on February 8th of 2007. I was going to include the gentleman's name, but I couldn't say the first or the last name, so I left it out. So if you want to go research that, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know, Louis, if you're going to be on this show, you have to be willing to horribly pronounce people's names and live through the humiliation. That's kind of a big thing for us.
It's like self-incriminate myself kind of thing. We'll get there. I'm not ready for that yet. Okay. Horton died after losing control of his Di Tommaso Pantera sports car on the Queen Elizabeth Highway in St. Catharines, Ontario, in the early morning of February 21st, 1974. He had played a game in Toronto the previous evening against his former team, the Maple Leafs, and was driving back alone to Buffalo, which was a 99-mile drive. I guess I never looked into him enough. Did you know he played for the Buffalo Sabres?
Yeah, they retired his number.
Yeah,
I think I got that in here somewhere. He also played with the Pittsburgh Penguins and New York Rangers. The Sabres had lost that game, and despite sitting out the third period and playing with a jaw and ankle injury, he still was selected one of the game's 3 stars.
Wow.
That's very sad how he passed away. No, you're a car guy. I hadn't seen it was do you know what the Di Tommaso Pantera is, Louis?
So make it quick example. It looks like an older Ferrari.
Oh, some sort of like Italian car, I assume.
Yeah. It looks like an older knockoff Ferrari in a way. Some awards and achievements for Mr. Horton. He was named to the NHL First All-Star Team in 64, 68, 69. He was a Stanley Cup champion 61, 62, 62, 63, 63, 64. Took a break until 66, 67 season. He was inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame in 1977 years after he had died. His number 7 jersey was retired by the Toronto Maple Leafs in 2016. It looks like I don't have that Buffalo did retire that jersey number of his, but I remember reading it when I was putting this together. Yeah. So getting into the card, if you're listening, it is PSA 4. I thought it was a great looking PSA 4. The worst part about this card, Troy, if you go to the bottom of it, it kind of looks pretty tattered down at the bottom, across the whole bottom of the card. And then there is a little fisheye or something above the S in the word in his position defense in that circle there. Centering, I don't know how to judge centering on this card really, but it looks symmetrical, if you will, to me. It looks like it should be. The back is where it may have gotten a ding. I didn't send you a picture of that, Troy, but it's very off-centered, left to right on the back. And you know what? I should have included it though, because there's a comic. There's a comic on the back letting us all know that Tim toured Europe during the summer months while he wasn't playing hockey.
Just a golden opportunity to suck up to Troy, Louis.
That's all right. Yeah, we'll get there. There are 5 other cards graded PSA 4 with a total of 121 graded copies of this card. Last sale of a PSA 4 was in June of this year for $35. And Troy, if you filled this in, because I don't think I put current bids in for either of my cards right now, this one's going for $13.
Ooh.
I have a couple comments on this card.
Okay.
I'm starting to really dig and I don't know what years it was active, the like vertically squished Maple Leafs logo.
Yeah.
It's so kind of weird and cool at the same time.
I like the jerseys. Yeah.
With that. Then I was thinking too that, how do I say this in a way that makes sense? Is Tim Horton the most famous Canadian hockey player that most Americans have never heard about? I think he would be a candidate for that, because the whole there's really no Tim Hortons.
Right.
We had him here. We had him in Minnesota.
We had one at the Mall of America for 6 weeks.
One in St. Paul too for a while. And
we did. I didn't know that.
Yeah, there was 2, and they both closed.
And then lastly, Louis, was the was the 4 comment? Was that mean? To be honest, because if you're 4, okay. Well, I'm probably now 1.5 because mean people are uglier. So if you're 4, I'm a 1.5.
Well, then I'm like if it's going on the mean scale, I got to be at least a 6.
Yeah.
That was another Baba Louie hobby hot take.
Add Louis, because I love you.
I know.
We had to get those in. I thought we were going to have time to get one in, but I got it.
Oh, I would never ever let a show go by. That was pretty tight, Louis. You did a good job there. Enjoyed that.
Thanks.
Okay, we're gonna move on to modern. First card I picked is a 2009 Ultra EX Jambalaya, Sidney Crosby, PSA 10. I love me some jambalayas. It's like to say it, jambalaya. I gotta find I need to work on that, how I want to say that. Well, this is not the first Crosby Jambalaya, which was the year prior in 2008 Fleer Ultra EX. It does feature him in the Penguins baby blue uniform. Are you guys a fan of this Penguins uni?
In an outdoor game.
Okay.
I'm 100% a fan. I want him to switch to these.
I like them.
Full time.
Yeah, I didn't really know the story behind it, because I think of the Penguins being very synonymous with black, yellow, white uniforms that we've seen for many, many years in there. And I kind of like it. Feels like a shake up, different vibe. But then if you do a little research like I did, because I'm not in the know. And you learn, this was a surprise to me, that the black, yellow, and white were not the original Sens colors, or the Sens pens colors, and that blue, light blue, and white were. And so, like in the case of this card, so this was like their first year in 1967. He's wearing their 1968-69 uniform. So that was like their whole like probably reverse retro thing. The more you know, Troy.
I love it.
The more you know. Yeah. So even though I'm typically a first guy, I'm also a degenerate hockey card collector and find ways to talk myself into any card that looks pretty cool. So therefore, this is what I settled on this card. It's the first Crosby Jambalaya in his 1968 retro jersey.
There you go. Perfect.
Which makes it incredibly significant, and probably should write a book about it. We need Bobby Burrell to write a book about this card. PSA 10 pop of this card is just 4, and that's out of 8 total graded. There are 20 players on the 2009 Fleer Ultra EX Jambalaya checklist, so pulling a Crosby is a pretty tough chase, and that's indicative not just in the pop count of being 4, but also how few sales you can find. So this product has been out 15 or more years now. I could only find 21 total sales of any copy in card ladder sales history. All-time high sale for 2009 Fleer Ultra EX Sidney Crosby Jambalaya PSA 10 is $1,375 US on June 2022. Most recent sale is $1,100 US last October. You got a current bid?
$220 US.
I always think of like jambalaya as so like synonymous like New Orleans and Narlands. Probably said that wrong too. And like what's the Mardi Gras? And it very much has a Mardi Gras vibe. Yeah, you missed my whole.
I just saw it. I totally whiffed on this one. I was too busy trying to find that other picture.
Yeah.
The more you know.
The more you know. There you go. Troy, you got the next.
All right, this one's quick. 2020 Black Diamond Exquisite Gold Spectrum Patrice Bergeron patch out of 3. This is serial numbered 1 out of 3. PSA 9, population 101 in PSA. All right, so I selected this card because I just think it looks dang cool. I'm not even a Patrice Bergeron. Well, I guess I am a fan. He's legendary Boston player, offensive defenseman, or whatever they call it, or defensive forward, right? How many Selkies, right? Selkies, is that it? I don't even know. But
offensive defenseman, defensive forward. You
don't worry, I got it somewhere in there. I hit it.
Right.
What I was trying to say. Patch looks super cool on this card. Plus, it's the gold spectrum parallel, so it's out of 3. Cards graded PSA 9, which is good for these thicky boys. These usually don't grade very well. There is some slight wear top right corner of the card. If you're looking at it and you're worried about it, you can barely see it, but there is just a little bit of loss. But you have to really look to find it. Now, Josh, this might be a new one. Look at this. So I'm a big color match logo guy. How about the design flowing through the logo and the color match? That might be a new one. Do more of this, Upper Deck.
Yeah.
I love that.
I've never known somebody to fixate more on one aspect of a card.
It's distracting. When it's bad, it distracts.
That is a very cool integration. What were you going to say, Louis?
No, I agree. I'm the same way with Troy. Blend your logo.
Fine. You be on Troy's team.
I want to see the card.
On my team anyways.
I want the card, the guy, the patch, the player. Yep. We know who made it.
Integrated logo gang, rise up. All right. Again, great looking card. It's a horizontal card, which I usually poo-poo, but this one looks fine. Looks fantastic, actually. It's one of those cards. It's like got a big patch and a big picture. Now, obviously, there's no auto on it, so they usually when there's the auto, they got to sacrifice one of those. But I actually dig this card having the big patch and the big picture, so it's really nice. Again, this is the only graded copy of this card at PSA. I couldn't find any sales of the Gold Spectrum Parallel in sales history on eBay or Card Ladder. I did find sales of the out of 49 copy of this card, and the most recent sale of one of those was on July 26th of last year via eBay, verified Terror Peak for $94.75 US. Current bid on this card is $90 US. So
this patch is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I'm assuming it says Boston. I was trying to figure out what this is. Like, it looks like almost like a windsock, but I don't know what it is.
Louis, you have the honor for the last card in
do.
modern in this feature of Fanatics Collect Weekly Auction.
And before I even start with this, I know dogs are going to do what they're going to do, but when family members know you're doing a show and you're recording, why do they all of a sudden feel like they run around the house like herds of elephants?
Oh, that happens to me here all the time too. Like our garage door is right outside my office, and somebody will go in and out of the garage about 40 times in a 13-second span and slam the door each time or run the laundry. Listen, we're the dads, Louis. we know where we are on the priority scale. Even Troy's dog with no manhood is above him on the priority scale. So that's what happens.
All right. So, anywho, I grabbed a 1995 SP UDA autograph Wayne Gretzky auto out of 500. This card, if you're not watching, he's wearing his Western Conference All-Star jersey. And, I didn't send you the back of this one either, did I?
No.
So on the back, there's a little oval logo with numbers on it. I'm assuming with the handwritten serial number, it's a buyback card.
Yeah, and that's the authentication it's the hologram.
Which I tried to look up and couldn't find anything that said it was verified.
Really? I've never tried that either. Maybe
I got some things about this card. This card let's keep going because I got some issues.
Okay. Well, the main reason I picked this out is we see hundreds of Gretzky autographs all the time. If this is going to be a buyback card and something he's going to sign, could you please make it so you could read the flipping autograph a little nicer? I think that drives me nuts the most.
They need to hire Neil to be the VP of marker allocation.
Now I did see on Terra Peak there was another card in there, and either they had it in a light box or they had it tipped a different direction where the autograph stood out on it. So this picture probably doesn't do it justice, but that was one of the reasons I picked this one, is because if I'm going to have a Gretzky auto and it doesn't just pop right off the card, that to me is going to hurt. This card had that heat map Fanatics is doing, and it was completely black. So according to that, this card's spot on, no issues. Last sale was in August of 2023, sold for $242.50. And Troy was nice enough to throw the current bid in, which is at $22.
Yeah, 22 US. So
okay, Troy. Yeah, before you comment, I'll let you comment about the card. But I think what makes a card like this very appealing is 1995 is a very, very early, if not the first year. There may be like a one or two 1994, but if you're into the earliest Gretzky pack pulled autos. Oh, but this is a buyback though, so it doesn't even count.
So that's what I can't figure out. Like, I know it's a buyback, right? It's got the hologram on the back. It's hand numbered. I can't find it anywhere on checklist, like in anything. I could find that it's called a promo card, but I couldn't find anything about the auto version. So I'm assuming it is a buyback, and maybe was it in 95? Maybe it was in some other. No, but the promo card was in the 95 SP. That I just couldn't find. I tried to verify the holograms on the back of like 4 different ones I found, and I don't know what was. I went to the Upper Deck authentication hologram site, and none of the numbers came back. So I'm assuming it's either too old or I'm just doing something wrong. But I mean, there's a lot out there. It's not like these are fake or anything. There's a ton of these out there that have sold. It's just one of those cards I really couldn't find on a TCDB, or I could find the promo card, but I couldn't find the out of 500. Now it totally makes sense if I could have totally missed it. I get that could be a thing, but this card's kind of intriguing to me. Could be a hobby mystery, but having 500 copies and a bunch of sales, it's probably not.
What the heck is SPUDA?
So I think the Upper Deck authentication is what the UDA is. But it doesn't say buy. See, I want to know where this card, where was it put? What was it actually in 95 SP, or was it in a buyback product? That's what I couldn't figure out, where it actually came out. The promo cards were in 95 SP, but I couldn't find anything about this autograph promo card.
I wish there was a checklist site that made it easy to find out information on cards like this.
That'd be awesome.
Maybe someday. Yeah. Oh, what else are you done with your comments?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. Now remember, you can bid on the
Heyo.
Uh,
We're almost
It's been a
there.
long day. It's been a
Only
long day.
one
We're almost
personal
there.
pickup, so we're good.
You can bid on all these bangers and all the other cards available in this week's Fanatics Collect Weekly Auction at fanaticscollect.com. Yeah, personal pickups, Troy. You and I we're on the struggle bus.
Yeah.
Ooh. I haven't thought about the struggle bus in a long time. Have you
Gotta
checked
come
that
back.
out?
First week of October, right? Or second week? Whenever
We're going
the
to
season
spiff it up
starts.
at all this year? We might have to start thinking
coming
about it.
up.
So, Troy sucks. I suck. Louis, you save the day. What did
Oh,
you
I
do?
forgot I even had it. I just noticed it was sitting here, and
You
I
just,
hadn't shared it.
The car you got 6 years ago or what?
Yeah, no, I grabbed it quick. It's not like a pristine copy. There's an issue in the top left, but I've gotten super hooked on these. It's a 2014-15 OPG Martin Brodeur Black Rainbow out of 100. Love them.
I love these cards too.
Yeah,
They're
that's great.
cheap.
Right.
Very nice. All right, boys. We did her.
We stumbled across the finish line.
Didn't you
Yeah.
say it sounded good at first and we tumble towards the
Yeah,
end?
we stumbled.
Well, if you like the episode, please leave a rating and review on Apple, Spotify, whatever podcast app you listen to us on. If you love the show, if you want to support us, you want to chat with us on the Hockey Cards Gongshow Discord server, Louis is there. Why wouldn't you want to be there? Please consider a $5 a month donation. Join our $1.99 support level tier on Patreon. Link is in the show description, whether you're listening to us on a podcast app or watching us on YouTube. In our Instagram, TikTok profile, you can get there through our website, hockeycardsgongshow.com, by clicking on the Become a Patron link, or it's on the Patreon website directly. Just go to patreon.com and search for Hockey Cards Gong Show. Don't know if you guys got the memo, but we're actually on social media. We're cool, right? We're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. And boys, the Hockey Cards Gong Show podcast is a production of Dollarbox Ventures LLC. Have an awesome weekend. Happy Labor Day weekend if you're in the United States. And is it something in Canada? Do we know?
I have no idea.
Have a happy fall Canada weekend, maybe holiday. And we'll see you guys all on Monday.